welcome you to this important webinar on safety and risk mitigation in adventure and outdoor tourism. We're delighted to have you join us today for what promises to be a highly insightful and engaging discussion on one of the most vital aspects of adventure tourism, ensuring the safety and well-being of both operators and travelers. As adventure tourism, outdoor tourism, active travel continues to grow globally, it brings with it incredible opportunities for personal and professional growth, exploration, and unforgettable experiences. However, with this growth comes the responsibility of managing the inherent risks that come with outdoor activities, unfamiliar terrains, and diverse environmental conditions. Our goal today is simple: to equip you with the knowledge and tools to identify risks, implement safety measures, and navigate the insurance complexities that come with operating in this dynamic field. Whether you are a tour operator, guide, or involved in any aspect of adventure tourism, today's discussions are designed to provide actionable insights that can be immediately applied to your operations. Throughout this session, we will dive into essential of risk assessment and mitigation strategies, explore emergency preparedness and response planning, and discuss how to align our operations with the insurance frameworks that safeguard all parties involved. We are honored to have a distinguished group of experts with us today who will lead us through several key areas of concern: operational risk management, where we will examine how to identify and manage risks related to terrain, activity types, environmental conditions, and the importance of proper training and preparation. Health, safety, and emergency response, a critical segment where we'll explore strategies for dealing with medical emergencies, from altitude sickness to injuries, and how to ensure our travelers are prepared mentally and physically for their adventures. Insurance considerations, where we'll gain clarity on understanding the role of risk transfer through insurance and discuss how to stay compliant with national and international safety standards. In addition, we aim to foster collaboration among all industry stakeholders, creating a united front that enhances safety across the tourism ecosystem. As always, I encourage you all to engage actively, ask questions, and share your experiences throughout the session through the chat. Together, we can build a safer, more responsible adventure tourism industry. Without further ado, let's dive into today's discussion. At the onset, I'm honored to invite the President of the Adventure Tour Operators Association of India, Padam Shri Mr. Ajit Bajaj. A true pioneer in the field of adventure tourism, Mr. Bajaj has consistently championed the cause of safety and responsible practices. Founder and Managing Director of Snow Leopard Adventures Private Limited, he is also the Vice Chairman of Federation of Associations in Indian Tourism and Hospitality. We are eager to hear his insights on the critical importance of raising awareness regarding safety and risk mitigation within the adventure and outdoor tourism sector as we commence this important webinar. Ajit, I request you to please give your address.
Thank you so much, Arsh, for taking the lead in organizing this Safety First Risk Mitigation in Adventure and Outdoor Tourism seminar. I think we all agree that this is an urgent need of the hour, and we are delighted to have a rock star panel of experts. We have Arsh, of course, is going to introduce them in detail, but we have Shantanu. I first met Shantanu in 1992, and we've done some exciting projects together. But Shantanu has been a NOLS instructor. He's a consultant for outdoor-based organizations and also facilitates experiential learning programs. And I'd also like to thank Shantanu for supporting ATOAI. Shantanu has been running risk management courses for ATOAI. Also, it's my proud privilege to welcome Navita Sham. She's been a guide for over 3 decades in 5 continents. So really looking forward to what you say, Navita. Navita is an adventurer and an outdoor educator. And also very proud to introduce you to Prateek Gupta. Prateek, as you all know, runs ASC 360. I mean, I can say from personal experience, whenever I go on some of my crazy expeditions, it's ASC 360 who is my personal insurance partner as well. And I think it's a fantastic organization, and Prateek and his team have organized over 5,000 evacuations, right? So they're India's largest adventure safety and rescue company, right? So, as you all know, right, the good news, let me begin with some good news. In 1999, India's ranking on the Adventure Tourism Development Index was 99 out of 99 out of about 146 countries that were surveyed. This is in 2008, right? And very pleased to inform you that our ranking has gone up to 38 in 2024. Our vision at ATOAI is that we want our country, India, to be ranked amongst the 10 best on the planet by 2034. All of you will agree, and I'm not going to waste your time telling you about the kind of potential we have in our country. I think we all agree that from Unmingla, the world's highest motorable pass, to we've got it all, right? And in terms of our natural heritage, India is truly, truly blessed, right? But what are the issues here? One issue that comes to our mind is that tourism is a state subject. Anybody, and I'm just giving a random example, for instance, can buy in many parts of India a paraglider, and sometimes with very little training and substandard equipment, start off with an adventure company. As a result of which, we do get a lot of accidents. Presently, we feel that there are, again, these are industry guesstimates. We feel that there are about 45,000 adventure operators of varying size in the country. And these are even one person adventure operators in some cases. And we feel that presently there are about 5,000 of these operators that are recognized or registered by either the state government or the center, right? So, for instance, just to tell you that there are today less than 100 adventure tour operators recognized as adventure tour operators by our Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. There is only one in the country that is recognized as, that has an ISO 21101 certification. We are incidentally working with the Bureau of Indian Standards to change this, right? So there are some other issues as well of carrying capacity, of over tourism or over adventure tourism in our case, where it's just the price point which becomes critically important. And safety, or well, safety is a wrong term, as you all know. It is risk management or risk mitigation, which takes a big, big hit, right? And what happens? It leads to a ban, either by the state government or the High Court will come in and ban, for instance, river rafting in, say, on the Beas River, or paragliding in Bir Billing or wherever, right? So while all of us here, we are all here because we feel strongly for this, there is no magic wand. And I think the most important thing is that all of us together have to work together as a team. So let me begin by telling you what ATOAI has been doing so far, right? So firstly, of course, we are a voice of the industry, of the adventure tourism industry. We have set up safety guidelines over 29 verticals. I think all of you have seen these safety guidelines, and we keep putting them on all our WhatsApp groups. We do try and create as much awareness about risk mitigation in the outdoor adventure industry as much as possible. And I'm really proud to inform you that the Government of India, Ministry of Tourism, has now set up a national board for adventure tourism. Right? There is a national strategy. Um, there is a model law, or the Adventure Tourism Safety Act, which is on the anvil. Right? Um, there are rescue centers that are being planned. So I think the latter part of this month, we have the next board meeting where we are hoping that this Adventure Tourism Safety Act or model law is going to see the light of day. So what's going to happen, because there is an inherent risk involved in adventure tourism, the central government is going to send this model law to all state governments that they can enact in their respective states, right? We've also worked on transformative ideas like the mega trails, and we are working with the Bureau of Indian Standards on on standards for adventure tourism and for equipment as well. We are working on satellite phones, and I'm proud to inform you that very, very soon, later this month, we are working with the Indian Mountaineering Foundation, and we should, as ATOAI members, we will be able to rent satellite phones for use anywhere in India through IMF and through a collaboration between IMF and ATOAI. ATO has also run 4-day responsible adventure tourism courses in partnership with Hannafil Center. We've trained over 400 guides. So this 4-day program, for 2.5 days, we do wilderness first aid and CPR. For half a day, we do leave no trace certification. And for one day, we do a module on professional guiding. From everything from giving safety briefings to just lowering communication with our guests and basically lowering our risk on our adventure trips. So this is work in progress, and I'd like to request all of you, if you can get a group of about 40 people together, 40 to 50 adventure guides, ATOI will be very, very pleased. We are working with the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India. We are happy to put in our own money, whatever little resources ATOI has. But this is an urgent need of the hour to train and sensitize all our adventure guides in the country, right? So I think also the onus is on all of us as adventure operators, that we are the most professional operators, that we tick off all the boxes. Our standard operating procedures, our risk management protocols are absolutely world class, right? And that before any adventure trip that we undertake, we do comprehensive risk assessments, we have emergency response plans in position as well. And also, I would like to introduce very quickly this concept of 7 Sigma for adventure tourism, right? So, Six Sigma was a process started by Motorola in the manufacturing sector, where they could accept about 3.4 defective parts per million. In adventure tourism, we go to 7 Sigma, which means we cannot accept a single defect or a single accident, right? So how do we, how do we get this? How do we work towards a 7 Sigma? Well, there are 7 Gs for starters. If we can really get our act together on these 7 Gs, we will move towards the 7 Sigma concept for adventure tourism. So these 7 Gs are: number one, gear, ensuring that we have international quality equipment in our operations, right? The Bureau of Indian Standards is working on standardizing Indian adventure equipment, but till that happens, let us use internationally certified equipment in our operations. The second G is our guides. Let us, as operators, invest in our guides, not just in their skill set, but ensuring, for instance, that they do the ATOAI Responsible Adventure Tourism Guide course. They are certified in wilderness first aid, CPR, right? And whatever it takes, let's ensure our guides, let's ensure that they are physically, mentally fit to lead our teams in the great outdoors. Um, well, as I mentioned, ATOI has the guidelines, right? But use those guidelines, have standard procedures for your operations. I think it's absolutely critical that you have these processes in position for in whatever field you're in, and you conduct regular training for your teams in these standard operating protocols. Um, and The next, of course, is your group or your company safety or risk management ethos. I think this is a very, very important point that I would like to highlight. I think as adventure tour operators, the most important thing is our reputation, and let us work at getting or ticking all the boxes that our guides are certified, our companies are certified. As I said, we are working with the Bureau of Indian Standards for ISO certification for adventure tour companies. So ensuring that we have certifications of international standards in our operations. Um, I think in this day and age, the next G is geographical conditions. We are living in an era of global weirding. The weather patterns are going absolutely crazy. So let us be very mindful of the weather patterns in the outdoors, and let us have the flexibility to change if required, or even cancel in some cases, right? Our trips. We are seeing a lot of this happening very often. Um, the next G is great communication, whether it's with our guests, whether it is internally as organizations, ensuring that our communication levels are absolutely top notch. Our planning is absolutely top notch. And the most important aspect also is the seventh G is our guests, right? Or our adventure tourists. So ensuring that they are ready for the adventure physically, mentally, experience wise, ensuring that they have the right gear. I think it's also time that all of us as adventure operators, um, we enhance this aspect of our operations. Um, there is no such thing as over communication, especially when it comes to our adventure tourists, right? Um, so I'd just like to say that, look, this is a collective responsibility. We are working with a lot of state governments at ATOAI, and this is what we are telling the state governments, right? That they need to have an enabling policy with safeguards in position for adventure tourism. So tourism and adventure tourism, yes, while they are very closely associated, adventure tourism, because of the risk aspect, we need a separate policy and safeguards for this. We are also suggesting to the state governments that all operators must be licensed and then recognized initially or and registered and then licensed by the state governments and only then allowed to operate. While we need an enabling environment and ease of doing business, um, all guides, adventure guides, must be licensed. Now, Uttarakhand, for instance, has done a great job in licensing all their rafting guides, right? And the state governments must help the sector by conducting annual training for their adventure guides, for skill development, and also for things like first aid and CPR and so on. They must give our operators incentives to buy international quality gears, vehicles, and so on, right? And they must, in some of the popular adventure areas, set up rescue centers, right? Um, and they need to be very mindful of the carrying capacity because over adventure tourism is also a short recipe for disaster, right? And of course, all state governments at this stage of our development in India must have a robust monitoring mechanism, right? So let us all, I'd like to urge all of you that there is no magic wand that we have at ATOAI. Let us all please work together. The days of staying silent are over. If you see anything happening out of doors, which is going to lead to an accident or a situation, right? Let us please, firstly, politely but firmly do something about it. Please also inform our team at ATOI. Sonam and team have been very proactive, right? Accident prevention is the most important thing that we can all work together on. So please don't be silent. If you see stuff that's going to lead to any kind of accidents, potentially, let us not be silent. Let us work together as a team. Any accident, any human life saved is a precious human life saved. And I know each time there is an accident, all of us, it's not just an association, ATOAI, but I think it's our collective responsibility to prevent any accidents in our country. So let's work together as a team. This is collective responsibility. Once again, I'd like to thank all of you for being here with us today for this very important webinar. And I'd like to thank Arshdeep and the entire team at ATOI, especially our secretariat, Sonam, Sonali, Rekha, Kajal, Vivek, and Pavan for their unstinted support for organizing this webinar. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ajit. You correctly said that there is no magic wand, and we need to work together collectively, tick all the boxes to ensure safe operations. With that, it is my pleasure to introduce our first panelist, Shantanu Pandit, who will talk about operational risk management. Shantanu is a seasoned consultant in risk management and safety for outdoor organizations and work at height operations. With over 20 years of experience, he has worked on projects like drafting risk policies for Club Mahindra and leading the successful international accreditation of the Hannafil Center. He also has been instrumental in developing safety guidelines for adventure programs in Maharashtra. Shantanu's background includes founding a non-profit, running an adventure travel company, and instructing over 20 courses at the National Outdoor Leadership School in the US. He currently conducts risk management courses for the ATOAI community and offers experiential learning programs for business organizations. Shantanu brings a wealth of expertise to today's discussion. Shantanu, my first question to you is, how can operators effectively identify and assess risks based on terrain activity type, and environmental conditions to ensure safety in tourism.
Yeah, hello everybody. Thanks, Arshdeep. Let me launch the answering part, and I'm going to share just a few slides and start responding. Yeah. So, as I thought of that question, I started thinking of too many factors. And in my mind, this image of almost a three-dimensional set of various things popped up. So while this is very overwhelming, I think it is good to be aware that when we look at risk management on an operations level, these are representing a lot of forces or factors that influence my functioning in terms of safety. And in fact, now the three Gs needs to be modified, Ajit. I mentioned guidelines, guides, and gear. But yeah, but things like guests and communication are directly under my control. So I think it's a wonderful extension of the G list. Great. So not to be overwhelmed, folks, but I think it's good to be aware that too many factors influence the decisions that our guides take on the field. Okay, and a lot of times we may not be even aware of what has influenced certain incidents. So um, I'll keep talking, and this is a very crisp representation of what I want to talk. But how will I approach actually identifying and assessing risks? So what is the starting point could be activity mapping, and that is one approach that I'm advocating for now. So I need to identify an activity or activity type and then go step by step into detail in order to begin to start identifying what hazards are associated at each step. I think that's very important so as to not miss something, and then it could come and catch us at an unaware moment. And then the idea is to start.
Shantanu, sorry to disturb.
Yes.
No screen, no slides are visible.
Ah, ah, ah.
Shantanu, I've just spoken to Sonam and she's just fixing this. Yeah.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
okay. So let me continue. Not and I'll just keep one slide in in focus. Yeah. So as I was saying that there are too many factors that influence our functioning, and it's good to be aware that there are so many factors. One approach that I can advocate is choose an activity type that you are indulging in. Take that activity and start really mapping out each stage, and then when each stage is clarified, you start connecting those to as many factors as possible in your awareness. What that brings to the fore is my ability to start identifying potential hazards. This is where the anticipation comes in really, really strongly. Now, when you map out or identify those hazards, then you begin to understand the associated risks to that. And then there are many, risk calculation formulae and all that you can easily access on the internet in case you're not already doing it. But I think, I- 1 minute, that's Sonam on the line. I'm going to, yeah, hi Sonam. Hello, Sonam. Hello, Sonam. I guess I should start sharing the screen.
Yes, sir. Please go ahead and share the screen again, sir.
Exactly. Yeah. Is that visible now, folks?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great.
Yes,
Thanks
sir.
for yeah, thanks for alerting me to that. Okay. Identify an activity, break it up into steps, stage wise. Stage wise, then start attaching hazards that I anticipate on my route, on my program, on the various stages, including transport from cities to wherever you're going, and then start estimating the risk that is associated with each hazard. This is where the risk management actually begins. And then I like to advocate two broad guidelines. One thing is the list of G's that Ajit listed out. For the moment, I have listed guidelines, guides, and gear. And the second thing is any course that you undertake, we come across this safety of people, safety of environment, and safety of equipment. Now, the environment increasingly is becoming and has already become a crucial factor. And anytime we speak of safety, I think by default, our mind should start thinking about environment, which includes socio-economic aspects also in a country like India and any other similar country. Once the hazards and associated risks are looked at, we start looking at control measures in order to manage those risks. And I'll tell you the fantastic connection that these control measures have with the SOPs. When I design SOPs, I need to ensure that those control measures are a part of the SOP. So the adequate level of safety is taken care of. No stupid mistakes will be made. That is the magic of doing risk assessment, and that is how you should go about it. Is how I have done it till now. Yeah. And then there are some obvious things like if it's a new area, new route we are going to, then have a recce, do a survey, bring back a lot of information, study information. So do a lot of desk research. I think one of the biggest thing is an awareness about our own capacity, including the guide capability. In conjunction with that, communication with participants is crucial, right? Reviewing what kind of communication is going out through promotion material. So setting expectations right and guiding our participants to choose the right trip is very much a part of risk management. And I would begin to assess hazards by inviting relevant information from the participants when they fill up forms. So that's the connection of estimating. So I would like to conclude by saying that estimating risks and trying to manage it begins at two levels: organizational level, and then helping our guides do it at operational level in the field. So to conclude, activity mapping, hazards and risks, we need to proactively do that. Capability becomes really important. Risk mitigation includes SOPs, and remember the connection of control measures in assessing risk and then including that into SOPs. Transferring risk wherever possible, and we have Pratik to talk of insurance today. And technology can play a fantastic part in helping us understand risk better. Emergency preparedness is crucial. Now, all this can be overwhelming, and I was thinking of one person operation, or it's a partnership of two people, and then the spectrum goes to big companies having offices. But I think the trick is to take small steps. For instance, prepare an emergency response procedure, have guides undertake wilderness based first aid courses, and then we can add to this list, but not to get intimidated. So Ashdeep, that's how I would go about responding to your question.
Thank you so much, Shantanu. It makes all the sense. And somewhere in your, all the talk you were mentioning communication. I totally agree that at step one, we should always make sure that all the parties are well communicated with everything, so
Mm,
that there is no, nothing, there is no gaps in between. So that is how we can arrest the risks faster and act upon it.
yeah.
Thanks a lot. And I'm thrilled to introduce our next panelist today, Navita Sham, who will shed light on health, safety, and emergency response. Navita is a seasoned guide with nearly 3 decades of experience across 5 continents and several mountain ranges. From the savannas of Africa to the towering peaks of Greater Himalayas, she has guided countless adventurers through some of the world's most awe inspiring landscapes. Not only is Navita a technically skilled instructor and wilderness first responder, but she is also a graded rock climber, an acclaimed camp cook, and a passionate ghazal singer. Her love for people, the mountains, and nature makes her an exceptional guide, known for sharing stories that range from elephant escapades to cherished family recipes. Based in southern India, Navita also works with schools, leading experiential educational programs as a facilitator and educator.
इधर ही
Navita,
आएगा अगल
um, Could you please shed some light on what are the essential medical preparedness strategies that tourism operators should implement to handle conditions like altitude sickness, dehydration, and injuries in remote locations?
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Arshti, for that introduction. When I listen to your question, one word that first comes forth is the word preparedness. Pardon me, I have a bad throat. Preparedness, in my mind, and the way I viewed it in a wilderness setting, is a set of actions that are taken as precautionary measures in the face of potential disasters or a medical emergency, as the case may be. And all of what Mr. Ajit and Shantanu also shared just now, all tying to that aspect of being prepared or bringing in the element of preparedness. The way I'd like to see preparedness is through the 3 Ps, which is plan, prepare, and practice. Now, if I were to use preparedness for the 3 parties involved here, for the individual signing up for a program, for the organization that is offering the program or the trip, and the principal guide or the team in the field that is going to be taking all of us through that experience, the 3 Ps apply to each one of us. Now, as a part of plan, like Shantanu was rightly pointing out, having an emergency response protocol, it's really important, not just for the organization, but even the individual signing up. If I, as an individual within a certain age bracket, I'm coming into the field and choosing to do an activity that involves a high element of risk or exposure, and I'm already stepping in with some lifestyle issues or comorbidities, then it is equally my responsibility to come in prepared, to come in fully aware of what is the environment I'm getting into, what are the risks it's going to pose to my already existing medical issues or past medical history that I bring into the field, and what is the plan I'm putting in place that I'm going to be open about and share with this organization that I'm signing up for a program. I've had many instances where participants have come on board and then you suddenly know that they have a heart condition, for example, or they're asthmatic and they've forgotten their inhaler. So as much as it is for the participant, equally like Shantanu stressed, it's important that organizations have their ERPs or EAPs or EOPs in place, have it detailed, a very comprehensive risk assessment in place, clear procedural guidelines, communication strategies, including data protection of the individual in concern, the patient in concern, their identity, their dignity, all of that. So preparing for it involves getting in touch for the participant, like Mr. Ajit was saying in his opening speech, for the guests to be to come in with a certain amount of fitness, to come in knowing what is the environment they're going into and how should they bring their physical bodies into that environment, come in with the right gear. For guides, to have all paperwork in place to carry the medical documents of the participants with you, the lead guide, for everybody on that team out there in the field representing an organization responsible for a group of people going into the outdoors, to have that information handy so that they can start that process of rescue if required by getting into the command line of making those calls, provided the organizations already have that in place. And for organizations, like Shantanu was rightly mentioning, to have their guides and their teams trained medically in a wilderness and an outdoor setting. We have those opportunities in India today available where we can do a course. This is not a first aid course in an urban setting. This is medicine in a wilderness setting. That skill is a great skill to have, which enhances not only the guides' capabilities and abilities, but also their response when an emergency arises in their hand.
Yeah.
And with that certification, if I may add on, with that training, with that wilderness medical training, it gives them a certain preparedness in terms of identifying a problem on hand, for example, dehydration. If they have the knowledge and the skills, they will be able to identify a guest or a participant who is going down that path of dehydration versus it catching you off guard and getting from the moderate to the severe slope. You can catch it early, but that requires organizations like Mr. Ajit was also pointing out, and Shantanu did, to invest in that training process for individuals who want to be guides in this field, to invest in that process of upgrading your skills, getting the right certifications to be able to go out there and lead a safe trip, a quality trip that then will automatically fall into the international guidelines as well.
Yeah, so thanks, Namita. So, absolutely agreed there too that, it's very, very important for organizations also to have trained guides and, be ready with all the paperwork for the guides to be ready with the complete knowledge of the people who are going to be with them on the tours. Thank you so much for sharing with us the plan, prepare, and practice ideology, which we all should be putting in use. So, I'm again very happy to introduce our third panelist, Prateek Gupta, who's the founder and CEO of ASC 360 Adventure Sports Cover, India's largest adventure safety and rescue company. A passionate adventurer, Prateek has completed over 100 trekking and mountaineering expeditions worldwide, including in the Himalayas, Europe, and Africa. He has also raised over 200,000 pounds for underprivileged children in India and Nepal through expeditions for a cause. After recognizing the lack of comprehensive adventure insurance and rescue services in India, Prateek founded ASC 360. He has personally managed over 1,000 air evacuations and 5,000 plus land rescues globally and established India's first high altitude medical rescue center in Ladakh. A pioneer in adventure safety, Prateek has introduced groundbreaking insurance solutions and works with government bodies and defense forces on high risk expedition planning. Prateek will be sharing his expertise with us today regarding insurance considerations. So, Prateek, how do insurance and rescue services play a critical role in safety and risk management with the adventure sector?
Thank you, Arshdeep. That's a very, very broad question, and I think I'm really happy somehow insurance is also getting a little bit of light right now. I think thank you, Ajit, thank you, ATY, for organizing this risk management seminar, which is need of the hour, as everyone is agreeing upon now. I think. And to begin a season, I think everyone's season is about to start, and I think everyone could take really good points from this seminar as well, because it's a critical moment for all of us. I think the first thing is to establish, and I don't want to give you products or anything today. I really want to go give you some stats, give you some scenarios, give you some sort of experiences what we experience in the Indian adventure and other with other operators also. So it is very important, as I say, just to begin with, safety for us is like a yin and yang or head and tails of the same coin in terms of adventure. And we have seen if we have both heads or both tails, then I think you have seen Sholay, and I think what happens later on. So it's a very, very direct what Navita just said and Shantanu just said. Everything what they are saying, and we have experienced this with the operators who we are working with. Every scenario of evacuation, every scenario of death, every scenario in the outdoors, every smallest of the points actually matter, and we can see how companies who are actually following them, they do not give us any claims. So, which is great for everyone in the ecosystem. So, I'll give you a small data. I think first I need to establish, yes, insurance, though it's a very boring topic, but it is important and it is an integral part of risk management in the outdoors, right? Because it's a financial instrument as well as the service instrument in outdoors for you when something goes wrong. I'm giving you a data. This is our personal data. And we have given more than, I don't know, I think 40 crores worth of claims across the world. 60% of our claims comes from unorganized, unregulated sectors and activities, which basically means if Ajit was mentioning about paragliding and there was huge, roar about, yes, paragliding accidents, because obviously they were there in the news, we actually get affected all across the world, not just India. India is now coming up everywhere in the world. Adventure safety, adventure insurance. The insurances in India are at 250% loss. We are at a 250% loss ratios. That means if 100 rupees we are taking, we are paying out 250 rupees worth of claims. People are, companies are getting out of, this sector just because the claims are very high. Now, coming back to the organization and to the data point, 60% unregulated. Now, who are these unregulated operators? People, good people who are here, obviously are getting their act together, getting whatever best they can do and learning from each other and growing. But we have seen people who are just starting up, unfortunately, people who do not have support, because obviously, as Ajit mentioned, it's a very low entry barrier for people to have a Facebook or an Instagram company. We see each and every day what kind of experience a torture client goes through when something goes wrong. Even if something goes wrong, what is the next step? Instead of, we get every day we get requests, sir, we will get insurance, but we will not do an FIR if something goes wrong. Why? Because they do not want to come in outside. So I am giving you a scenario where when we work with thousands of operators, right, across India, Nepal, I think everyone says one thing, and I could see when we are working with these operators, safety is a culture, right? Which basically means even if you are the best company in the world of for adventure, people do not negotiate on the non-negotiables in terms of even if the smallest indemnity bond, even if it's smallest of the insurances, even if they say, Pratik, we do not want any claims, we will keep on paying you, but we do not want anybody to suffer, and that's how they are growing as well. So, the biggest thing, and I'll go back to the next point, which is every one of us wants to give the best service, the safest possible service. It's a human life after all. But why they don't give, we see what we are seeing today is one thing which we see everywhere is cost. Cost is everything. And I have not spoken out in a lot of these accidents earlier because some of them are clients and we have some sort of a foundation where, but I'll give you an example where cost is everything, and I'll give you an example. Please don't take it otherwise. Paragliding, as Ajit said, one of our biggest claims comes from paragliding sector apart from the extreme. Paragliding, I'll give you a small scenario, and I think this is our personal again. Please don't take it otherwise. 80% of insurances in Himachal, in Kullu, Solang, Bir, Billing, they take insurances from us during registration. During the time of registration, they do insurance for their clients. They are all happy. Of course, they do insurance just for the registration. After the registration and the approval and the checkups are done, nothing. No insurances are done for the clients. Insurances which are not even valid for adventure, let alone aerosports, are done for the pilots and for the gliders, and that those are submitted to the government. Himachal government provides licenses to these pilots, and then they are flying. But again, these are the things which are being done during registrations. Nobody's taking care of after that. We regularly get policies by 7 p.m., 6:30 p.m. in the evening, and we always know that there must be an accident in the morning for this policy, right? I'm talking about a very small, trivial issues in a very simpler manner, so that I'll be able to convey what's happening on the ground and how smallest things can change. So I'll give you. They'd say instead of taking names, 3,000 rupee if is the cost for a paragliding, tandem paragliding. Can anyone guess how much it goes to a taxi driver just to take the clients to there? So it's 1,500 rupees. So 50% of the cost, as it is told to me by the operators there, goes to the taxi guy who takes the client to a certain operator and gives them client. Out of those 1,500 rupees, next 700-800 rupees goes to the operator or the guy who owns the glider, and 500 to maximum 600 goes to the pilot. Pilot is actually getting sometimes lower wages than a daily wage worker also. So it is actually during the season, it's like a conveyor belt. Pilot has an incentive or a compulsion to actually jump, even if the conditions are not prevalent for the same. And that's why we see accidents. We have seen accidents where harnesses have given away, where actually pilots are smoking up before they are flying and then they are going. I am there at the site, it's raining, people are still taking off. And operators are selling. नहीं नहीं सर हो जाएगा 1 घंटे में हो जाएगा आप भर लो अभी से. Right. So it is then right now, be it if you go anywhere you go, how can a harness give away in mid-flight? So these are the smallest point where safety, again, if it's a small piece of insurance, it's a paper, you will never use it. But again, aerosports are difficult sport. So I'm just giving you an example of paragliding, but it goes everywhere. When the costs are compromised, when the people are not paying, and it's not most of the people, they don't want to pay you, right? To the operators. It's actually somehow ingrained in our own culture to what we say is race to the bottom. Saying, "Arey, that guy is giving you for 3,000, I'll give you for 2,800." Someone will say, "Acha, मैं 2500 में दूंगा," and someone will say, and then you first think which gets cut when you cut cost is safety, right? You are not bothered about the
Sorry to interrupt you here, Prateek. This is a very,
yeah,
very valid point that you have put across, and we all, I think, can agree with whatever the figures that you have just shared. I'm also keeping an eye on the time. But can you
right.
also, since you are talking about this, can you also quickly tell us the advantages of using a CGL or a PL in
Yeah.
adventure tourism? Yeah. Can you also shed
So,
some light on it
right.
quickly? Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just quickly, why I'm telling you all the scenarios is so the ecosystem is defined in terms of who is all there, in terms of insurance also. So when the operators are there, there is something called there are three people in the ecosystem. First entities are obviously the operators. Second are the people who are doing it on the ground, and third are the professionals, right? If all three are insured, then the whole ecosystem is actually safeguarded. And that is where I'm coming in. When we start cutting corners from one end, everything will add up and everything falls away. So coming back first in terms of CGL, right, which is the liability portion. And I think this is one of the most common topics, and it's very difficult. Firstly, insurance itself is a legal document. If you are taking insurance, they have terms and conditions which says you should follow this foundations. Automatically there is some sort of place that you have to follow, like you have to wear helmet. In case you're not wearing helmet and there's an accident, no claims will be payable. Similarly, in case of adventure also. So coming back to the liability portion, now what is a liability? Liability, in a crude way, everyone says I need a third party liability, right? What we offer and what industry needs is what we call as CGL, comprehensive general liability plus professional indemnity. Most of the people who are there in this forum and work with professionals are professionals, like doctors, like lawyers. You offer your professional guidance and services. So if there is a negligence, what you will do? A lot of people just are doing insurances for the sake of registration. And I just wanted to ask questions. A lot of people, how many people have registered who have campsites, and give name and the address on their policies, what is third party liability, as their office address only? If you are buying a third party liability insurance, if you are giving just office addresses, then it will only cover your address which you have given. You are taking your clients to a campsite, If you're not giving that address on your liability policy, it will not cover that. Second point, if you're taking them out for rafting, if you're taking it out for some sort of an activity, CGL only covers for the premises for which you have given the address, right? It covers your medical malpractice, it covers your environmental, it covers, right? It is basically for whatever operation you are conducting. Because of that, if there is a, let's say, a fire in a camp site, so your clients get hurt or their cars or their something gets burned, it will be covered under CGL. But your own employees won't be covered under your CGL. Any third party, because aapka, if there's a camp site on fire, because of that fire, next campsite also get burned. That campsite again will be covered under your CGL. If a client sues you, and this gets triggered only when a client or his or her family sues you, right? Not if someone gets injured during the activity and you want to get a claim for, let's say, 20,000, 30,000, 2 lakhs, it will not get triggered. So it will not automatically covers your client. It will cover the legal liability in case someone sues you in due course. But again, it's a legal contract. It is like every aspect of your operation has to be mentioned properly. In fact, people who have done it, they even the advantage of doing it, like, and was that we added their foreign agents into these policies. So if someone sues them in the foreign country also, your operators, let's say in wherever country, US, UK, wherever your agents are, and you are doing inbound, they would be happy to work with you if you have a proper CGL in place,
I
right? You
totally,
should have.
totally agree with you, Prateek, over there. And I think we need to have a separate webinar with Prateek to understand the intricacies of, why we should have all these insurances. And I'll be happy to organize one very soon. Sorry to interrupt you over there, but I have a very, very important question to go to Shantanu. Quickly, Shantanu, if you can very briefly, tell us that. What are the key components of a comprehensive operational risk management plan, and how can guide training, SOPs, and safety drills be integrated to mitigate risks?
Okay, I'll try to be crisp because we have already reached 5 o'clock.
Yes.
So I will desist from sharing a slide. So folks, I'm going to read off my paper. So when I look at key components of an emergency response plan, I am looking at a plan. I'm looking at an organizational level. And what are my considerations? Bullet points: medical, non-medical, both need to be included. Staff capability, are there any gaps that I have identified after I have done risk assessment? And I need to provide training to plug those gaps. Only then my plan becomes more and more robust. What are the external agents, and have I built a network with those? And external agents is government bodies, hospitals, primary health centers, so on and so forth. Communication, there is no end to actually emphasizing communication. We need a communication protocol. We need the communication equipment and our staff to be confident of using that equipment. And in connection with that, increasingly, it has been discussed on the WhatsApp forum of ATOAI, compliance issues, permissions, what is illegal, what is not in India, and obviously hazards and risks. So components, I'm going to again read out. We need, once we have looked at the whole program, it could be a tour, adventure tour, whatever, I need to have emergency response procedures based on wherever it is relevant. It could be locations, it could be travel segments, it could be crossing rivers. Um, Again, medical, non-medical, both need to be very clearly outlined in an emergency response procedure. So emergency response procedures, communication protocol, contact details, roles and responsibilities, actually creating a command chain. In times of stress, people desperately need a structure, and an emergency response plan needs to provide a structure. Emergency kit and the safety drills where people know how to use the items in the emergency kit. SOP for rescuers and evacuations, we need that. And again, in times of stress, I need a piece of paper to help me calm down, to help me get my people out to safety if I'm involved in that emergency. Is there information about alternative routes, avenues? I need that in the plan. And then definitely after the whole thing is over, in the aftermath, we need a post-incident process in order to help people who have been involved to deal with everything that they have gone through. So actually, very quickly, these were the points in the plan.
Thank you so much, Shantanu. Thank you very much for being so quick. And Navita, I request you for the same, that if you can share with the house some expert comments, expert speak coming from you, which should be kept into the mind when we are on the ground. Can you please quickly give us that?
You're on mute,
You're on
Navita.
mute. Navita, you're on mute.
Sorry, just lag. Yeah. I think Shantanu's pretty much covered most of what I had in mind to share. But again, I'm going to keep it really crisp. I was jotting down some points, but your question is fairly in line with what I had jotted down. I think one of the most important things is to provide all teams out there in the field with a clear communication plan. One of the most crucial actions to take in crisis management is developing a strong communication strategy that clearly defines the team members involved and what exactly their role is. Like Shantanu was saying, in a crisis, the leader or the team out there responsible needs that sheet of paper that tells them exactly what to do. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That chain of command, who to call, what to do, who to get in touch with, your reliable suppliers. It could be the local police, the nearest army outpost, the nearest nursing home available, or an ambulance provider, or the village head, somebody there who can send out messages. So you need to have that document that helps you just pull it out, just just go through it without having to, run around wanting what to do. Also identify a clear crisis leadership team back in the office who then gets on the ball and they know exactly what to do at the back end to assess the risk, to determine the impact, plan the response, solidify the plan. You review and update, you consider risk protocols. All of us who've been in the field know this, that the 4 stages of any emergency response, of an emergency response in risk management criteria are mitigation, preparedness, which I already covered, response, and recovery. Mitigation covers a lot of what Shantanu said earlier and even now. It's guide meetings, hazard assessment, personal protective equipment, buying insurance that Prateek is responsible for, his firm provides for. These are all mitigation activities. Preparedness is compiling your emergency response plans, purchasing emergency response equipment, conducting staff training, compiling emergency contact lists, not just in an urban setting, somewhere you're going to take them, but also their own personal, who is the person we're going to contact to, which is that family member we're first going to call. And establishing emergency equipment caches, like Shantanu was rightly pointing out, other than knowing your equipment, also having a backup. If you have something and it fails, then what is your backup? One of the most common errors I find happening in the field, organizations that have lots of trips and tours going out, they all send medical kits, but they're all not adequately furnished or whatever the word is, stocked. Because these trips are constantly going on. The teams just pick a medical kit, go out there, you open it, and you realize you don't have something as simple as Band-Aids that you need in a medical kit. Response. Shantanu was talking about it, Prateek mentioned about it too, an emergency response plan or an emergency operation plan, whatever it is that the organization comes up with, wants to call it. Putting that in place into action, because that is what we use as guides, as the team in the field during an emergency, when it is happening. Example, response to an avalanche or searching for a student who's gone missing, or a client or a guest, however you want to word it, or dealing with the media, communicating with the family member. All of that is a part of that EOP or ERP that you put in place. And recovery, which is an equally important phase. Like Shantanu rightly mentioned just now, recovery is about returning to an as normal or a new normal, like we always refer to, after an incident has happened. And that involves at least immediate actions are collecting witness statements, conducting, for example, a snow profile for record purposes if required, if an incident happened out there in the snow field, debriefing the staff, which is important because we want to get as much information as possible, compiling the incident and guest documents, their personal data, protecting their personal data, and most importantly, debriefing the amount of stress that not just your team, not just the guest has gone through, but your staff members as well. Because you want these people you've trained over the years, these individuals who are really good at what they do, to be able to come back, to go past this incident, learn from it, come back and continue doing and offering what they have to. So those are my inputs, and I hope I've answered your question.
No, thank you so much. We've gained so much from listening to you all today. It's really been nice. It's just that the time is very, very short, and there is so much subject to cover yet. We wanted to open the house for questions, but looking at the paucity of time, I don't think that's really going to be possible. But I invite you all to send us the questions, and we will send it to our panelists, and they will answer, and we will send the answers back to you. And we can also organize more webinars of such kinds to have more discussions, because I feel that whatever discussions we have, these are brainstormings and we gain knowledge with every sentence that is spoken over here. We should have more of these, so we will try to organize something more in this kind in coming future also. But I thank you all for joining us today and for your active participation throughout this insightful session. As we come to end of today's webinar, let's take a moment to reflect on the valuable knowledge shared and the key takeaways. We'll be very happy to share the key takeaways of the webinar with everyone later on. I will request Sonam to do that. This has been really, and we have explored the essential aspects of risk assessment, emergency preparedness, and legal considerations in the context of adventure tourism. Our distinguished panelists have provided us with actionable insights into how operators can identify and mitigate operational risks, manage health and safety protocols, and navigate complex landscape of legal responsibilities and insurances. A big thank you to all our panelists, Shantanu, Pandit, Navita, Sham, and Pratik Gupta, and our president, Mr. Ajit Bajaj, who have shared their wealth of knowledge and expertise today. Your contributions have truly helped us build a stronger understanding of how to create a safer, more responsible adventure tourism industry. With that, Ajit, would you like to say something on a closing note?
I think uh, all wonderful participants, our panelists have said it all. I just want to thank our panelists and also the participants for being here. We are going to continue this. This is just the beginning. And one of the ideas, for instance, we have, and I've spoken to Shantanu about this, is that maybe one day of the week, we're going to call it Excellence in Adventure Tourism. And our focus should be on risk mitigation, prevention of any kind of accidents, and the steps that we can collectively take. So, Shantanu, Navita, Pratik, thanks again. And we'd like to request you to come on board, for this. Let's start this on our WhatsApp groups. I know we've got a lot of rock stars here. I see Ravi. There are a lot of wonderful people who can be with us on this, and let's use that every Friday to share knowledge, and do whatever it takes to prevent accidents in the great outdoors. Yeah. Thank you so much once again, Arshdeep, and to all our panelists. And to all of you for attending this, and we're going to continue this. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.